A few years ago, I would have told you this list looks completely different. But after testing, researching, and talking to actual owners, my rankings changed a lot. Today we're counting down rifle brands from worst to best, and trust me, that number 1 spot is not who you think it is. Starting at number 10, with a name that survived 2 world wars, but did not survive its own boardroom. Number 10. Remington sets the stage for the heritage markup game. The Model 700 still retails between $700 and $1,000 depending on configuration, and the name on the receiver carries over 200 years of American history, the oldest gunmaker on the continent, founded in 1816. Now look at what sits behind that name today. The original Remington Arms no longer exists. The company collapsed into bankruptcy in 2018, collapsed again in 2020, and was carved up at auction like an estate sale. The rifle business went to a new entity called Rem Arms. The ammunition went to Vista Outdoor. The trademark itself became an asset, traded between holding companies. Strip away the roll marks and put the rifle on a bench, and the story gets worse. The Model 700 Action is a genuinely brilliant 1962 design, which is precisely the problem. It is a 60-year-old pattern now produced by a restructured company competing against clones of its own Action. Barrett, Christensen, and a dozen custom shops build Remington 700 footprint Actions with tighter tolerances than Remington does. Number 9. Winchester is the clearest case of a name outliving the company that made it famous. A Winchester Model 70, the rifle marketed for decades as the rifleman's rifle, retails between $1,000 and $1,400. Here is the detail most buyers never learn. Winchester Repeating Arms has not manufactured a rifle in New Haven, Connecticut since 2006, when the historic plant closed its doors for good. The name is now a licensed trademark controlled by the Olin Corporation and leased to FN Herstal of Belgium. The Model 70 itself is manufactured by contract in Portugal and by Miroku in Japan for the lever-action lines. Let this be clear. Miroku's machining is excellent. Japanese production quality is not the issue. The issue is what the price is built on. You are paying an American frontier premium, the gun that won the West, the cowboy silhouette, the John Wayne inheritance, for a rifle designed under license, built overseas, and marked up by a company that owns the story, but not the factory. A comparable controlled round feed Action can be had from other makers for hundreds less, without the licensing fee baked into the sticker. Number 8. Barrett is the Desert Eagle of the rifle world, a gun priced by Hollywood rather than function. The Model 82A1 in 24 Sev. 50 BMG retails between $9,000 and $11,000, and the civilian buyer purchasing one is almost never buying it for what it does. Consider what the money buys. A 30-pound rifle, 5 feet long, firing ammunition that costs $3 to $6 per round, impractical for hunting in most states, absent from practical competition, and useless for defense unless the threat is an engine block. The military contracts are real, and the engineering behind them is competent. That has never been the question. The question is, why a civilian pays 5 figures for it? And the answer is not precision. Dedicated .50 caliber target rifles from smaller makers shoot tighter groups for less money. The answer is 30 years of movie placements, video game franchises, and poster walls. The Barrett has appeared in every major shooter franchise of the last 2 decades. And every one of those appearances functions as unpaid advertising that gets converted directly into sticker price. Number 7. Heckler & Koch presents the purest brand tax in the AR-15 market. The HK MR556, the civilian version of the HK416, retails between $3,300 and $3,800. Now open it up. It is a piston-driven AR-15. The pattern is proven, the German machining is genuine, and the cold hammer-forged barrel is excellent. None of that is in dispute. But here is the uncomfortable math. Piston-driven ARs with cold hammer-forged barrels, quality bolt carriers, and mil-spec exceeding tolerances are available from American manufacturers between $1,400 and $1,900. The performance difference on a target, on a chronograph, or in a torture test does not justify a $2,000 gap. What justifies it, in HK's pricing model, is the mythology. The 416 was carried on the Bin Laden raid, and HK has spent 15 years converting that single night of history into retail margin. The slogan culture around the brand, "No compromise," does the work the price sheet cannot. Read that again. You are paying a $2,000 premium for a rifle whose defining feature is that a different rifle, issued to men you will never meet, was present at an event you watched on the news. The steel does not know the story, only the sticker does. Number 6. Christensen Arms sets the bar for the modern hype markup, the carbon fiber premium. Christensen rifles retail between $1,800 and $4,000. Built around carbon fiber-wrapped barrels and aerospace language borrowed from the founder's background in composites. The machining is genuinely good. The rifles are light, the actions are clean, and the accuracy guarantees are real. But here is what the marketing does not say. Independent testing has repeatedly shown that carbon-wrapped barrels do not outshoot quality steel barrels of similar contour weight. The carbon wrap saves roughly a pound over a comparable steel barrel, and that pound costs $600 to $1,000 at retail. A Tikka or Bergara in the same chambering, with a conventional steel barrel, will match or beat the group sizes for half the money. What the premium buys is the word aerospace, a weave pattern visible through the finish, and the feeling of holding the future. Mountain hunters counting ounces have a real argument. Everyone else is buying a texture. Number 5. Savage stands out as the manufacturer that brings honest engineering to the bottom of the price ladder. A Savage Axis retails around $400, and a Model 110 between $600 and $900. And the company's entire model is built on manufacturing efficiency rather than marketing spend. Here is what makes Savage different from every exposed brand above it. In 2003, Savage introduced the AccuTrigger, a user-adjustable trigger that broke cleaner than anything in its price class. And instead of reserving it for premium models, the company put it on nearly everything, including rifles selling for less than a scope costs. The barrel nut system tells the same story. Savage headspaces barrels with a lock nut instead of expensive hand fitting. A method custom gunsmiths mocked for years, until they noticed Savage rifles kept winning factory-class bench rest matches against rifles costing 3 times as much. The method is cheap. The result is measured in group sizes, not adjectives. There is no celebrity ambassador, no cinematic campaign, no anniversary edition engraved for a manufactured milestone. The rifles are plain, the stocks are functional, and the accuracy is documented at the target. For the buyer, the value is direct. You are paying for a barrel, a trigger, and a head spacing method that works, and almost nothing else. Function per dollar. Few brands come close. Number 4. Howa takes the value equation and removes the brand tax entirely. The Howa 1500 Action, machined in Japan, retails in complete rifles between $450 and $700. And here is the detail that exposes the rest of the industry. Howa has spent decades manufacturing actions and barreled actions for other companies. Hardware that has been sold under better-known American names at significantly higher prices. Same steel, same machining, different roll mark, different sticker. When you buy the Howa name directly, you are buying the factory without the middleman's story. The 1500 Action is a controlled, one-piece forged design, with a flat-bottomed receiver that bedding specialists praise, and the hammer-forged barrels routinely deliver sub-MOA groups from factory ammunition, verified in reviews across a decade, not claimed in brochures. The trigger is a clean two-stage design, included at a price point where most competitors ship lawyer triggers. There is no legacy folklore here. No century of frontier mythology to charge for. Howa cannot sell you history, so it sells you output. Machined steel, documented accuracy, and a price that reflects the production line rather than the ad campaign. What you pay is what you get, and usually a little more. Number 3. Palmetto State Armory rewrites the playbook again, this time in rifles. A complete PSA R-15 retails between $450 and $700, and frequently drops below $400 on sale. Consider what that number means. Most major brands cannot move a rifle through their distribution chain for that figure, let alone manufacture, ship, and warranty one. The price is possible because Palmetto owns its manufacturing in South Carolina. Cold Hammer forges its own barrels on machinery purchased from FN's supplier lineage, sells through its own website, and spends almost nothing on traditional advertising, relying on volume and a customer base that does the marketing for free. Every layer that quietly adds $100 to $200 to a conventional AR, the distributor cut, the dealer margin, the ad budget, has been stripped out, and the savings pass straight to the buyer. The engineering choice is just as deliberate. PSA builds to the proven mil-spec pattern, which means every rifle inherits decades of validated reliability data and accepts the largest aftermarket ecosystem in the rifle world. Palmetto did not reinvent the rifle, it reinvented the price. This is what an AR-15 costs when the brand machine is removed and only the factory remains. Number 2. Tikka has redefined what production line craftsmanship means at a mid-tier price. The Tikka T3X is machined by Koch in Riihimäki, Finland, a factory with continuous production history since 1921, and retails between $700 and $1,000. That continuity matters. The institutional knowledge inside that plant cannot be purchased, licensed, or replicated by a startup with a CNC catalog. The proof is on the target. Every T3X ships with a written sub-MOA accuracy guarantee, 3 shots under 1 inch at 100 yards, from a factory rifle at a factory price, a standard that American custom shops charge $2,500 or more to promise in writing. The action is the quiet genius of the design. Tikka builds 1 action length and 1 bolt pattern across the entire caliber range, which concentrates all machining refinement into a single receiver instead of spreading cost across variants. The result is a bolt throw so smooth it has become the benchmark reviewers measure other rifles against, described in gauge measurements and slow-motion cycling tests, not marketing copy. Koch publishes exact specifications, twist rates, trigger weights, and test protocols. There is no mystery in what you are buying, and no adjective doing the work a number should do. The price tracks the machining hours, and the machining hours show up on the target. And finally, in first place, Ruger delivers the most honest price-to-function ratio in the entire rifle market. And it does so by refusing to play the branding game at all. A Ruger American retails between $400 and $600. A 1022 sits near $300, a price that has barely moved in real terms for a generation. Here is what separates Ruger from everything above it. The books are open. Ruger is a publicly traded company, and its quarterly filings tell the story in plain numbers. Modest margins, enormous volume, continuous reinvestment into CNC capacity across plants in Arizona, New Hampshire, and North Carolina, all domestic, all disclosed to shareholders every 90 days. There is nowhere to hide a hype premium in a balance sheet that public. The engineering follows the same logic. The Ruger American uses efficient modern production, a nut-secured barrel, a modular trigger group, and molded bedding blocks to deliver sub-MOA capability at a price where competitors ship excuses. Old that the company technically never guaranteed at all,